Hey everyone, it's been a while since you've heard from Triumph, we know, and today we'd like to give you an update on where we're headed and our targets for the future. So, let's get into it. First off, it's no secret that Division 3 of RTBR, the most ambitious release yet, has been our primary focus, and this has meant a little less time being given to the spin-offs in development. However, we have developers whose roles on the team only cover the spin-offs, and that has meant progress has ticked forwards even whilst priorities are elsewhere, and, now that Division 3's biggest hurdles are mostly over, we have begun spreading resources around again. As Triumph has progressed, we've acknowledged the larger scope than Salvation leaves open the possibility of a demo, which we did not consider before. So our new development goal is a demo showcasing the 20 test chambers in the game. The full mod will feature what comes after. Chambers 1 to 10 will only feature mechanics from the original Portal, but will be taught in an accelerated fashion that sees you having the dual Portal device by the end of Chamber 9. Chambers 11 to 19 will introduce 3 new testing mechanics, involving Stalkers, Anti-Gravity, and the Super Energy Pellet. These 10 chambers will follow this pattern. Introduce the mechanic, complicate the mechanic, then introduce danger as part of consolidating the player's learning. These 3 new mechanics will merge with each other, and mechanics from the original game throughout, so that by Chamber 20, you've had to practice every iteration of these systems working with one another. After that comes the escape, which we'll not detail at this time to avoid spoilers, but will test your experience with these mechanics. The full art pass of Chambers 1 to 10 is almost complete, and we're approaching the halfway mark on Chambers 11 to 20 being blocked out. We recently took on a new level designer specializing in Portal chamber design, which has accelerated our trajectory towards a demo. So, it's not unlikely that the next article you get from us is an announcement of just that. Now, enough talk of roadmaps and project goals. Let's get into some specifics.
Chamber 5 is the first puzzle where the player has a portal gun of their own and follows the tested structure of get a cube from somewhere else to solve the progression to the next chamber. With Triumph, we are taking great care with our accelerated progression to make sure that all the basics are taught, since, like with RTBR, our goal is that a newcomer to Half-Life should be able to play our games just as easily. This is especially important in Triumph given the change in art direction. But, just as Valve had to establish a language for puzzles back in 2007, and had to do it again for old Aperture in 2011, we think the gradual increase in chamber complexity will explain everything you need to know to solve what comes next. Also seen here is a placeholder of our chamber introduction screen, which we plan to give a more thorough makeover graphically, targeting something that harkens back to the original and fits with the design language of Triumph.
This room depicts the second half of Chamber 9, after you've obtained the dual portal device. Having just taught the unstationary scaffold in the previous room, this area brings in a little danger, but it's fairly lenient and gives the player opportunity to experiment with dual portal placement.
We showed a look at the last room of Chamber 10 in our inaugural update article. This room is part of the teaching for conserving momentum with 2 placed portals. It's a classic fling to maintain momentum puzzle, with a certain amount required to clear the wall and pass through the Emancipation Grill. Seen here are our new Fizzler particles, a more in-depth look coming up shortly.
The last chamber we're showing today is part of the next set of 10, Chamber 13, which introduces anti-gravity as a mechanic. There will be 3 flavors of anti-gravity: objects, the player, and both. Over Chambers 13, 14, and 15, we will introduce these flavors, use them together, and then introduce danger into the loop of solving a puzzle with this mechanic. The field generators will be an interesting asset to design, as well as the other testing elements used for our other mechanics still to come.
The Emancipation Grill, or Fizzler, is an iconic Portal element that serves an important gameplay role as well. One design in the content were 3 fairly rough brush-based emitters, whilst another had shaping that was more in keeping with our other assets. So we took some of the sharper, more rugged design language of one and applied it to the Portal Emancipation Grill. Then we added 3 noticeable emitters to the structures that hark back to the original influence. In the actual levels, we've added a subtle spotlight to the ends of these emitters and a very gentle blue spotlight that helps place them in chambers and stand out among other elements.
The particles for the Fizzler face a similar challenge to the model itself, given the original was 3 green beams that don't read quite as comfortably as an emancipation grill. Here we again choose a middle road between bringing in the original material, as you can see with the 3 defined beams in each Fizzler array, and then the smaller field particles inherited from Portal. The result matches our Emancipator grills nicely, and gives us a great blue asset to use for varying the color palette in chambers.
The portal gun pedestal from the beta had much better reference material, but required a fair bit of reinterpretation to bring it in line with Triumph's other assets. The process was a little iterative, but the standout shapes were retained, and it's a memorable addition to the testing element library, which is important because in Triumph, the dual portal device will be obtained by other means. So the pedestal, for us, is a single-use asset to deliver the player the portal gun and kick off their puzzle-solving journey.
The box dropper lacked any strong references in the cut content, and so we revisited our approach of drawing design inspiration from old Aperture equivalents, whilst making it match our current design style. The smooth, rounded tube became an octagon with a wire mesh in the class, and the sleeker lid of the original was replaced with a more utilitarian function inspired by the vital apparatus vents seen in Portal 2's old Aperture. It's not fancy, but it gets the job done, the language of many of these earlier iterations of Aperture's testing technology.
Breakthroughs is the newest track on the Triumph OST, and as its name suggests, it's about channeling the vibes of lost potential in Aperture, scientific discoveries and amazing technologies brought under the sway of the Combine. Take a listen to a track that will echo through the halls of this subdued Aperture.
And that's all for this Triumph update. Our first 10 chambers being well defined, it's exciting to play with a toolbox of new mechanics for chambers 11 through 20, and we're looking forward to seeing how we can blend these systems into the escape sequence and beyond. Before we wrap up, some roles we're looking for, both on Triumph and on RTBR as a whole. Firstly, Portal level designers. We'd still like one more individual to help us tie together the rest of the levels to be blocked out in Triumph. Secondly, blockout level designers. RTBR as a whole is always open to more blockout mappers with experience building levels in Half-Life 2. And finally, hard surface 3D modelers. We'd love more asset creators on board able to help with modeling projects across all the spin-offs in development. If any of these roles interest you, please contact Kralik on Discord with examples of your work. Thanks for following along, and stay tuned. Surprises will come around mod of the year as usual, and who knows, maybe the next time you hear from us, you'll be playing the mod yourself.